name is Emma Pegues, and I'm the Program Director for Rebuilding Hope in New Orleans. RHINO was established in October of 2005, immediately following Hurricane Katrina. We realized that we had a responsibility to our neighbors and to our community to start that rebuilding process immediately. And we knew that rebuilding didn't need to be just physical, it needed to be emotional and spiritual as well. So current staff and members of St. Charles Avenue Presbyterian Church created Rebuilding Hope in New Orleans, and 9 years later, here we are. RHINO has hosted nearly 6,000 volunteers, and these volunteers have come from 42 states, from 266 cities, and from 3 countries. So just this past year, we actually had a volunteer that came to us through Cornell University and was originally from Kazakhstan. And that's so great. New Orleans means so much to so many people, and to be able to facilitate the relationship and the growth of that relationship is something that's a really incredible part of my job. And I think it's wonderful that we have recurring volunteers from Delaware. We have recurring volunteers from California, from Oregon, from Seattle. These are places that aren't near New Orleans. So these aren't folks that are taking a quick 3-hour drive to get here. These are people that are committed. They're taking the time off work. They're taking the time off school. And they're making this journey here to rebuild hope. And that's something that's inspiring. RHINO is engaged with several different community partners within the greater New Orleans area. And what this does is afford us the opportunities to allow our volunteers to attack problems in the city from many different arenas. So when volunteers come to us, they can work on new home construction, they can work to repair current homes that are in poor condition, they can work with food banks, they can feed the homeless, they can work with adults with developmental disabilities, and they can work with children in 2 different ways. They can work with the Carrollton camps, which are 2-week camps that are offered in the summer and over the holiday break by St. Charles Avenue Presbyterian Church. And they can also work in schoolyard gardens, teaching children about the importance of educational permaculture and early childhood nutrition. So a great part of my job is being able to facilitate volunteers meeting the needs in the communities. So what I think sets RHINO apart in a big way is this concept of voluntourism, which means that our groups come down and they work very hard. They work 4 to 5 days a week. They're working from 7:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the evening. And that's the volunteer aspect of their experience. But we're lucky enough to live in a city that offers much more beyond that singular volunteer experience. So our volunteers may be installing siding on a house in the morning, and then they're on Bourbon Street listening to live jazz at night. And I think it's that aspect of our program that really keeps people enticed and keeps people coming back. Because if I'm going to go somewhere and do service, I want to be able to relax at the end of the day. I want to be able to enjoy myself. And New Orleans absolutely offers that. And a big part of the RHINO program is making sure our volunteers have the time to explore the city, to see those things that they're not going to see on their work site. St. Charles Avenue Presbyterian Church members host RHINO volunteers in their homes every Thursday night. And that's something that not every program offers. Not everywhere I go to volunteer with am I going to be able to sit down in the home of someone who lives in the city and hear about their experience and their family and what it was like when Katrina hit for them specifically. That's a way to bring people in to identify with the city and with what we've got going on here. And I think that's what makes RHINO really special. Certainly, with any organization like this, you're going to face challenges. Something that we've come upon in the past couple of years is that as the community, as New Orleans is transitioning, RHINO also needs to transition. So we are no longer exclusively a disaster recovery organization. We're moving more clearly into urban mission. So what that means is to survive, organizations that work like this have to evolve from, we're not gutting houses anymore. We're not working on hurricane relief. This isn't immediate disaster recovery. What we're able to focus on now are issues that are coming forth in the community that may have been there before Katrina. So working with disenfranchised populations, the poor, the homeless, the hungry, people that have developmental disabilities, children in schools that need to learn about educational permaculture, need to know the importance of childhood nutritional health. Those are issues that RHINO is able to focus on now that we're moving from disaster recovery. And I think that's really important to sustaining an organization like this. Definitely Ferry Place. Ferry Place is a street in the West Carrollton neighborhood that back in 2007, RHINO volunteers built start to finish 14 homes on that street. And this was a project that was backed by St. Charles Avenue Presbyterian Church and New Orleans Area Habitat for Humanity. And that was something that is incredible. It left a footprint. That's something that RHINO volunteers can return to year after year and see a literal community, 14 homes that they built from the ground up. And that's something that's so special. And now it's come full circle. The church is offering a 2-week camp called Carrollton Camp that's an enrichment camp free of charge for children in that neighborhood. And so to see children living in the homes that old RHINO volunteers built and interacting with RHINO volunteers in the camp is something that's so special, and it's a blessing to see that happen. You can get involved with RHINO in a few different ways. So if you're interested in volunteering with RHINO, you can go to rhinonola.org, and there are opportunities for you to volunteer with the adult and college groups, which run September through May, or you can volunteer if you're middle and high school age in the summer, in June and July in our Camp RHINO program. I think the best advice I can give someone who wants to help in the community is not to be afraid to get your hands dirty and ask questions. If you go into a volunteer experience with any sort of reservation, you're not going to get the most out of it. And that's something that takes a lot of work, and it's something that I still need to be reminded of sometimes every day. But if you forget about yourself and you remove your needs and focus on the community needs that you're trying to meet, that's where the magic happens, and that's when you begin rebuilding hope. So I think the best thing you can do is forget about yourself, focus on the community and what it needs, and you will find your place in rebuilding hope.